Welcome back on the AM show. Strikes. The problem is, where do we go from here, especially as their recent interaction with the National Labour Commission came to naught. It did not deliver the sort of results we wanted. Joining us for that conversation, Dr. Samuel Bert Wedikusi. He is president of UTAG at the UCC. We also have Prince Obeng Heman, president of CITAG. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Let me start with Prince. And in recent times, you've been invited as well. You failed on Wednesday to attend that meeting, that consultative meeting with the National Labour Commission. And they directed that yesterday you be at the meeting. Were you able to make it?
Yeah, we were able to have the local chairman for Accra College of Education, as well as another powerful executive member from that college representing the national leadership, because we were involved in an activity far away in Pusiga. So physically we couldn't have been present over there. It was the association that was invited. So they are also members of the National Council. So they represented us in the face of the law. We think we did the needful.
Tell us, Prince, what are the core issues of the CITAG? Because the UTAG have their own core issues, and I know it is same reason you are also threatening or embarking on this industrial action.
Yeah, the issue is very simple, that a group of workers have existed without conditions of service from 2017 to date. And it's not as if we didn't negotiate. 2017, we negotiated, which was never implemented. We followed it up over the years up to 2020 when it wasn't implemented fair. After months of discussions and negotiations, government appealed that because of COVID and other, economic implications, there was no way you could pay from 2017 to date. The government decided to pay 2021, that is from January 2021 up to October 21, to give us sort of a compensation. And for the sake of national love and the fact that we all have one Ghana, we are all waiting for the global effect of COVID, we agreed to that. UTAG signed MOU, spelling out in explicit terms how the payments were going to be effected. That is to say, this payment was to be effected in October, November, and December. We waited in October, it wasn't implemented. November, it wasn't implemented. December, it wasn't implemented. Then in December, we came out with a press release reminding government of its responsibility. And for that matter, if government failed to carry the thing through, we would also advise ourselves. Wanting to even respect the labor laws, we also wrote we wrote to the National Labour Commission expressing our intent to strike. If government
and this, you're making
formal letter to the National Labour Commission. Then on the 6th of January, Council of the Association meeting and realizing that we had exhausted all avenues in the face of the law, we had not been listened to, and that strike remains the last resort. We decided to trigger strike action. The GTEC invited us for a meeting on the 10th. And in the meeting, they made promise to pay the money at the end of January, so we should call off the strike. And the leadership that attended the meeting, which I superintend, told them that the meeting was declared, the council said that there was the need for them to start based on the constituent that they represent, the rank and file. So the rank and file will have access to this conversation, take a decision, and then it will flow to the top. So we adopt the bottom-up approach. In that meeting, it was agreed, and it's contained in the meeting, that because we had already started the process of resolving the matter, the invitation to the National Labour Commission on the 12th wasn't necessary. So we felt we had started with the process. That is what I'm saying is contained in minutes of that meeting. That is why on the 12th, we failed to honor. But when the commission physically, we were not present in Accra or the southern part of Ghana. All of us were in the program in the northern part of Ghana. We made quick arrangements to get a befitting representation for CITAG. So that's where we are. The commission has said we should call it off, And we are also saying that, well, we are also in discussion with our legal team. We'll touch base with the says in the face of the law, in the face of what our lawyers tell us, in the face of what the feeling and expectations of our people are. We'll make a collective decision from there.
All right. So that is those are the colleges of education. That's the president of UTAG, the colleges of education, and what they've been saying, why they have actually embarked on this entire enterprise. Great. Let me start from this point, because we've been discoursing over the last few days on these matters, and still there appears to be no headway between you and the National Labour Commission. You had your meeting on Wednesday. Your representation was there and all of that. But why substantially do you feel with the employer, with the National Labour Commission as well? Why do you think there was a fallout even on Wednesday?
Yeah, thank you very much. Just a quick one. Yesterday, our meeting was held yesterday in the afternoon, and we were represented by 6 of our colleagues.
Oh, so does that mean on Wednesday, the 2:30 meeting, you had no representation? You were not part of that enterprise?
No, yes. So, so far as yesterday's meeting was concerned, of course, I'm sure the news is out that the National Labour Commission is of the view that strike is illegal. Yes, we respect that view. And at the meeting, we were, however, of the view that, well, that was not it. But that is the ruling of the National Labour Commission. When you say
agree, why do you disagree? Because they are pointing out to you that you can't be at the negotiating table while you are still embarking on an industrial action. That is not the process to follow. How do you respond to that?
No, that is fine. That is why we have said that we do not want to, disrespect or disregard the ruling of the NLC. And of course, so, just to leave it that, yes, we respect the view of the commission, and we respect the view of the commission.
Well, ordinarily, I would leave it there, but I don't, for good reason. You are saying you disagree. You are saying that you will just take it because you want to, play ball with the National Labour Commission. But I'm asking you, why do you disagree? Are they right or not? That's the question. Are they right? Do you agree?
We want to maintain that. We perfectly agree. When I say agree, okay. I think that it goes without saying that, yes, we agree with the view of the National Labour Commission. And okay. I think that answers it. We agree with the view of the National Labour Commission. Yes, even though in the proceedings we took a different view, but the ruling has come and we respect that. So we are taking steps to inform our. I am just on my way back. Other colleagues are traveling this morning. And so we want to touch base with our members, inform them of the ruling of the National Labour Commission. And then we will move it. We will take it from there.
You'll take it from there. So you are currently negotiating with your employer via or through the conduit of the National Labour Commission. Why are you still on strike?
I wouldn't say that. As of course, the commissioners took the view that yes, that we should go back and have the substance of the matter discussed. And so, as I said, we are taking steps. This meeting was just yesterday, and so we are taking steps to touch base with our members, able to do that. Then we can only take it from there. I think that is the fair thing to do, to let them know the ruling that has come officially or formally, as we have always done, and then we take it up from there.
Okay, so currently you have to go through some processes, but you're not necessarily negotiating. Interesting.
Yes.
Let me run this by you. Lankra, who is head of public affairs at the Fair Wages and Salaries Commission, he's been speaking in recent times, and one of the things he says is that, first of all, it's what I pointed to, that you can't come to the negotiating table while you're still right. And I'm going to quote him. He says, if the employee, which is you and your members, if you are not happy with anything, the best thing is to resign. What do you think? So if the kitchen is too hot for you, get out of the kitchen. What is your wahala? Leave those who want to be in the kitchen. And what do you make of that? How do you respond?
I think that is one of the most unfortunate statements to have come from anybody who industrial relations. In all my public discourse, I don't address personalities. I try to speak to the issues. But on this particular instance, if indeed we have done our checks and we have gotten the indication that, well, he says it's coming that he never said that. But if indeed he said that, then I think that is one of the most unfortunate statements to have come from anybody. Then we could as well equally say that let the employer also sack everybody. If you want to go the hard line, everybody takes an entrenched position and it doesn't help anybody. So I respect.
Some technical challenges there with the connection to Dr. Bert Bwedi Kusi you were making. We lost you.
Sorry about that. What I'm saying is that in industrial relations, nobody should go the hard line. Because if you want to go the hard line, then everybody takes an entrenched position. So if indeed he made those statements, then he ought to retract, he ought to apologize. When we have issues, we cannot talk about them. It's completely out of order for him to have made those statements that we should resign. I think that the employer equally has the power to sack everybody. Why are they not doing? Why is he rather calling on us to resign? They can also go ahead and sack everybody. That's another option for them. But I think that this commentary is not good for our public discourse and for our cohesion. And I think that everybody should watch how we communicate out of emotions. It doesn't help anybody. Bring everybody together and build bridges.
Maybe the final bit right before I come to the rep from NUCS, because they would also have a lot to talk about. But I just wanted to run this as well by you because it is also from Lankra, who is talking about the fact that there's allowances and non-core allowances, consolidation of certain allowances under the basic pay, the premium and performance management, among others. Some relief? Do you get some encouragement from this? I mean, you've been bashing him from one end. Are you happy about this thing?
The lectures are still pending, hanging. This is not the first time the labor market survey has been conducted. It was conducted in 2014. There was no review of the premiums. It has been conducted in 2019. The report is out in 2022. So mere talk that it is going to be reviewed, it doesn't mean it by December, so that we know what premiums people are going to enjoy this year and all that. And that is what is in the process as we speak. So for us, this is no news at all. Until these things are done, it's no news because it has been done in 2014. It was not implemented in 2019. We are now getting, the report is now coming out. So that is no news at all.
All right. Let me now get to the NUCS representative, Emmanuel Bwache Yadom. Emmanuel, thank you for joining the conversation as well. Let me start from the point of how you react as students to this.
Especially to Ghanaian students watching us this morning. I must say that strike actions do not help students, do not help learning and education, learning and teaching. And on that note, I must say it's very unfortunate that our lecturers are striking. And it's one of the reasons why you call on the appropriate agencies, appropriate bodies to continue as soon as possible.
But continuing as soon as possible will not pan out if there is no proper agreement between the employer, government, and the university teachers, and all the matters that must be considered. You just heard the president of UCC's UTAG saying that they've not made any headway, and this, of course, reflects across the board. So, how hopeful are you? What do you think really?
I think that the government should make serious attempts and take the processes seriously in order to get all these problems resolved. But that notwithstanding, we'll also advise our lecturers, we'll also plead with our lecturers not to go into negotiations with hardened arms and then entrenched positions. If things needs to be done on the faster pace, because the conditions of service, I think one way or the other is a bit problematic. Looking at the direction the CTAG president is coming from, and then that of UTAG. I think it is a problem for us this morning. And unfortunately for us, we'll be meeting the LMC, the Labor and Employment Ministry, Fair Wages and others today, this morning at 10 a.m. And I believe maybe from there we can make a better and more informed position, or we can take a better and more informed position. It's accompanying issues.
Just walk with me on this journey. You know what the concerns of the teachers are. Do you feel they are justified? And let me just remind you that this is a long-standing issue. I just make reference to 2013 till now because of or maintain is nothing to write home about. When you look at all of these matters, some of you may end up becoming university lecturers in future or teachers in future. Do you feel these lecturers, these teachers have something solid to stand on and that they have some justification, at least, though it is affecting you? What is your take?
Well, if you followed our conversation, you followed our discourse and then our position, 6 months ago, we felt the decision to strike was in a haste last year, August, and that they should go back to the negotiations table and iron things out where the appropriate context. When it came up again this year, if you followed, we've said that government and then the agencies relevant to solving these issues should make sure they do it in a very faster rate, because Ghanaian students can't always be at the suffering end. Now, we at the end of the day, we making this position, we will also not help or will also mar the entire process. Now, I was happy when the UTAG president made certain comments with regards to what the LMC CEO or Chief Executive Director said. Now, there's been sort of hot air being blown by certain UTAG members, and I must say it's really uncalled for, because if you could fight your fight
like what?
Oh,
blanket statement. I'm saying like what exactly that Professor Jampo said. What exactly?
Okay, like the students they thought are playing politics or they are playing on their intelligence because they are politicians now. If you are to attack people's personalities, at the end of the day, I believe that will not help in solving these issues, but rather in making sure you attack the substance, just as the UTAG president in UCC said. At least there's a sort of what the person in office has become, and it is not about your role in the individual's life. I hope you get me on this. Yeah, so it is rather unfortunate if people keep on attacking personalities rather than attacking the substance or the purpose of the strike.
Right. Let me come to you, Ofosu Asamoah. So looking at the way things are going, where would you pin the problem? Because it's not just you, but you must also consider the fact that the government or the employer has certain limitations. Government is limited on financial points. There are so many constraints on the back of COVID and all of that. What do you think are the core problems that need to be addressed? And I'm not just talking about resolving these matters now. I'm talking about the medium to long-term proper resolution of some of these challenges you face. Done to ensure that we don't keep vacillating, going back and forth. Today we solve the problem a bit, tomorrow we come back. Today we are back at the problem. What do we do? Are you with me, Ms. Ofosu Asamoah? It appears we may have to get back to Mr. Ofosu Asamoah on that. Let me come to you, Dr. Bert Kusi Bwedi, on that specific point. Bwedi Kusi, my apologies. So the bit is, how do we address some of these issues for the medium to long term, simply put, because we keep going back and forth, and these do not help the students. They do not help you as university lecturers, because as you've said time without number, as Professor Jam, and that would put pressure on you. How do we address these issues for the long term?
Yeah, thank you very much, my brother, for the question. I think that a number of things ought to be done. One is what you have said. The employer needs to take a very holistic look at the pay policy. Critical. The other thing is commitment and transparency. It appears that when the heat is on, and what I say when the heat is on, when there is a strike action, everybody is running around to solve a problem. As soon as the strike is off, everybody relax, and that in itself creates a problem. And then you see there is also a bit about time, the time factor. You can talk about conditions of service today, the automatic review. Unions will have to agitate and write letters, sometimes no replies and all that. So we ought to be a bit more responsive as a nation to the plight or the concerns of workers in the country. Other than that, if we're going to take this firefighting approach all the time, then these things are not going to end. And it's not in the interest of anybody to be striking. I mean, those of us who are thinking is that, oh, it doesn't even affect the lecture, but it is not true. And we are all, as you rightly quoted, we are only postponing our own, the job that we are cut out to do. And so I think that we need to look at all these holistically and be open and transparent to the issue. Yes, there are economic challenges. We acknowledge that they are able to come on the same page vis-a-vis the equity debate. I mean, these are things we all need to look at holistically, and even in.
We appear to be facing some internet issues with the connection of Dr. Bert Bwedikusi. We'll get back to him. These are the challenges you face when you are using technology, yes. And internet in our part of the world is not the most stable, so we have to deal with these challenges. But let me come to, do we have Prince Obeng back on the line?
I've been here. I've still been around.
Right. Okay. So Prince, from your end, this problem, Bert has been sharing his own thinking. What do you think we can do in addition to ensure that we stop this back and forth?
Dr. Bert couldn't have said it better. I think rules of engagement is what we have to follow through. Government shouldn't sit up to when there are problems. All the things that are there in our conditions of service, every 2 years, there should be renewal of conditions of service. These are things that have to be automatically triggered. And even where there are challenges, we should check ourselves, ensure that we have what it takes to respect. Because the moment you sign MOU and you refuse to honor the terms of the MOU, then it gives credence to the perception out there that government is out to deceive. And that also emboldens the members of the unions to also take entrenched positions. So, of course, we expect that there will be that commitment to the MOU that we sign. That is on the part of both government and then unions. And then there should be a transparency. I believe when these things are done, it becomes institutionalized and we get to know that we are working. We have a responsibility to work with government also, especially when at our side we are training teachers. And every minute they miss go into the determination of the kind of teachers that we are producing to teach in our 21st century classrooms. So we need to take a cue from that.
Right, and come to think of it, your unions have been in place for a pretty long time. I mean, UTAG, CTAG, UTAG especially. Are you hopeful that these things you are saying will bear any fruit moving forward? Are you hopeful that the things you're saying can be implemented within the next lesson from the standpoint of this is nothing new, and we've had this with the National Labour Commission arbitrating and the employer depending on which government is in power, and you, the unions, on one end. There seems to be no end to this wahala or this saga, so to speak. So in terms of really effecting the things you are saying, how positive or optimistic are you?
Talking about is a government that has to demonstrate ability to commit itself and all of that. So if the government, through its agencies, through the National Labour Commission, can act in a manner as to let people have confidence in the institutions, then the union may expect the commission, whatever ruling they come out with, because they have the powers of the High Court. But predictably, when an issue between employee and employer is good there, you can predict the outcome. In our case, for instance, before even we went there, they had come out to preempt the ruling they were going to give. The strike is illegal. So we live in a country where from the first day the NLC was, gives the impression that perhaps the NLC is there for the government, but not for the workers. Not only the NLC, the other state institutions. The way and manner they act when there are issues give impression that they are not there for the people. So that's why I'm saying they should demonstrate goodwill. They should demonstrate that at any point, even though it's a state institution, they are prepared to. I've always liked the posturing of the Sunyane OSMP and then his deputy, Honorable Bright Rekunbro. When there are issues and they come, despite the fact that they are there as agents or reps of government, they come clear, they tell us what has to be told. But beyond that, following through what they have said, going ahead to implement what they have said, also become a problem. So we want to see a new phase of government. One of the union members, that confidence, much needed for us to move ahead from there. Thank you.
Dr. Bwedi Kusi, thank you for joining us, rejoining the conversation. Your colleague has been talking about the fact, Prince has been speaking of the fact that, yes, certain measures must be put in place. I was just asking him about the feasibility of it because your unions have been in place for a long time and the problems keep happening. So, yes, you're proposing solutions. And I mean, governments change. That is a reality. Governments change and each one comes and has its own issues to deal with. So should the focus be on government or should the focus be on policy, on what is on paper, on what the governments should be doing in the first place, regardless of the financial situations? Because you only come to the negotiating table when you can't meet your obligations, and we ought to be looking at.
Yeah, thank you very much, my brother. I think that we should be looking more of the policy, we're looking at working with our employer, because the point is that, as you rightly said, government will change, government will go, government will come. But our employer, our immediate employer is the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC. From there, then we go to more or less deal with our university councils. And it is only when you need to negotiate on issues that you are going to deal with Fair Wages and Salaries Commissions and other agents of government. So I think that the focus should be on what ought to be done, put on paper, agreed to, and then timelines agreed, stuck to. Especially when all of us agree that every 2 years, we must review almost all these allowances and issues that there are. The major challenge which we have now has to do with the basic salary and of course its antecedents, interim market premium or market premium, which has to do with the pay structure itself. And I think that, as I indicated earlier, if we take a holistic view or review of that whole pay policy, the issues dealing with the issues of allowances and others is less problematic in terms of reviewing them every 2 years and all that. So for me, from where I sit, I think that we are better off dealing with the structure itself and then concentrating on what ought to be done on paper, timelines agreed to and stuck with. Other than that, then we will be doing this back and forth and it's not going to help anybody.
Doc, just hold for me. I wanted to address this to the NUC's representative, the president. Let me just check whether he's still on. Do we have the NUC's representative on?
Yeah,
Right. So how do you feel all of this, before we arrive at some conclusion to all that we've been discussing, how do you feel this is going to affect, how do you feel this is going to affect teaching and learning outcomes for you, the students? Because it said that when two elephants fight, it is the grass that suffers. Two elephants are indeed fighting, and you are the grass in this context. How is this going to affect teaching and learning outcomes for you, and what is your anticipation, your hope moving forward?
Yeah, I think our representative from UTAG made something clear earlier in his earlier remarks. He made mention of the fact that if those conditions are not being met, although they will be in class, they are teaching 21st century students, but at the end of the day, due to the working conditions, the heart and mind to teach may not be as it used to be. We know our lecturers may come to school to teach us or may come to lecture rooms to do the needful, but at the end of the day, whilst their minds, their hearts, and everything has been pushed away due to certain unfavorable conditions, I think that is where the Ghanaian students will suffer the most, because instead of getting the help from the lecturer or from the teacher, you may not get everything that the lecturer is supposed to put out. We end up having half-baked graduates instead of having a well-prepared or a full-baked graduate who can help and make certain waves in the country or make something better in the country. Now, with the things that I've been able to pick up right now, and then some that are there that are yet to even think of embarking on this strike. Now, the rules of engagement, I believe government should make sure they do respect it, they do go by it, and then they do make sure every agreement that they make with these teachers unions that they do meet, they do honor them such that we don't be seen or be witnessing such strike actions beginning semesters or in the middle of academic semesters, because it do affect us very badly. And we will also call on our lecturers, the teacher unions, to also try to, at a point, do go into negotiations with open arms, but not with entrenched positions as for us, we need if A is not granted, we are not accepting any other thing again. And I believe when we do this, there can be peace and harmony in the negotiation processes as at when it continues. And then there's one important point that I've also picked, that government or state institutions should MOUs and MOAs are being signed between them and then other parties. And I believe these things will help have an improved conditions.
Emmanuel, thank you for your submission. Dr. Bert and Prince, I'll give you less than a minute each for your summary comments to wrap the conversation. I'll start with you, Prince.
Yes, thank you very much for this final opportunity. We are telling our members that they have been phenomenal in the struggle up to date. We are telling them that the decision to make a determination rests on them. So come Monday when we meet a council.
What I want to say is that the employer and all other parties concerned should not hide behind technicalities. They should expeditiously resolve the concerns of the lecturers so that we can get back to work. For our colleague lecturers, in the coming week, we are going to engage everybody. And we are hoping for the best. But more importantly, let nobody hide behind technicalities. We should make sure we resolve the matters within the shortest possible time. Thank you very much.
Thank you too, Doc. Thank you for always making the time to join us, and to the rest of you, Prince and Emmanuel as well. But we have more coming your way. We're also going to be talking about ASEP, the oil blocks, the GNPC, the finance ministry, and that entire situation of getting a loan out there to the GNPC. Also note that when we get to talking about basic schools and their reopening, we'd love to hear from you as parents. The timetable is out now, or the schedule for reopening is out now. How